Hello, it is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. Let me get this, what is it? That should be running, okay. Let me turn on the browser, okay, there we go, perfect. And that should stay up. Let me just get the Unity stuff ready. Takes just a second. Okay. Alright, and then, there we go. Alright, so I can get rid of this now because we don't need it. Alright, yes, and everything's running. Perfect. Okay, so yesterday we did a little bit of work here. We added some characters to this and we got a bunch of other things working. So I'll just go over that really quick. Let me maximize this on play. Alright, so we have our little character here that can move. There's still a little bit of rendering issues that I have not fixed. The eyes notably disappear when you get too close. Yeah, but we can move. We can currently move 4 spaces at a time. In this particular area, it doesn't really matter. The idea here is that this is going to be the selection of what kind of piece you want to be. So you have the pawn here, the rook, everything except the knight. The knights are done kind of weird. I'm not going to let the player actually play as them. And then in this little section here, you'll select which material you want to be. We do need to implement that at some point, which we might do relatively soon. Also, oh yeah, you can move through them, I forgot. Okay, we need to... I guess technically they don't register as agents, so we need to fix that. But yeah. And then we come over here, so this game is going to be based on dice. You're going to get, let me go back here. You're basically going to get a certain number of dice to assign to different stats. And so you will actually pick them up as physical dice in the world. This in the bottom left here is our inventory. So what we did yesterday is we worked on getting these to render correctly. Well, not render correctly, but do what we want, where they sort of face the camera. I think it adds a little bit of aesthetic to it. They also don't appear in the center of the tile. They appear, basically anywhere in the world. And one of the things we need to do is we need to make sure that the player can only pick these up when they're adjacent to them. Right now, if I move too close, it's going to try to move to that tile, so we need to fix that. But, actually, why does it do that? It shouldn't do that. That's interesting. I don't know why the tile raycast comes in first. We'll have to fix that too. But anyway, if I grab one of these, it gets attached to the cursor, it leaves the world. And if I let go of it outside of the inventory, it basically just kind of floats around in the world. But if I actually put it here, it will disappear from the world and remain in the inventory. At the moment, we actually can't do anything with it. We can't move it once it's in here. We need to fix that. So one of the things that I'd like is for this to be sort of an Ultima style inventory where you can do things like that and just kind of, put things wherever you want and organize them however you feel. So yeah, we're going to do something like that. So today what we're going to do, we have a lot of stuff that we need to do. One, we need to actually make it so that you can move items inside the inventory and throw them out on the ground. I don't know how exactly that's going to work, but it will. Second one is we need to make sure that we can only pick up items when we're adjacent to them. And then there's also some stuff I want to do whenever you're close to one of these dudes and you click on them. I do want to bring up a dialogue of some kind. And if we can even get to it, I want to do tooltips. So there's like 4 different things I want to do today. So let us get started. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make it so that we can move items that are already in the inventory. So the way we can do that is we can add a component. So I think the items in the inventory here, yeah, they don't actually have a component associated with them. These do, it's an item component, but we actually need to change this to not be an item component. It needs to be an item in the world component, because we have a separation of items in the world and items in the inventory. So let's say item in world component. And this might rename the file correctly. Yes, it does. Okay. Now, did it propagate correctly to the Unity editor is the other question. Did it propagate correctly to the Unity editor? It looks like it did. Okay. Oh, also I forgot, we do have a scriptable object that represents which item this represents in the world. So it's this die-1, gives us the sprite, the scale, that stuff. That's why all of these have the same scale in the editor, but in the world they actually have different scales. This is just to demonstrate that that's possible. So yeah, so now that we've renamed this, this is the item in the world. We need to probably create a couple things we could do. I will create a new component. It's going to be an item in the inventory. Item in inventory component. That's not how you spell inventory. I think that is, though. Okay. This technically goes in the UI. It doesn't actually go in components because it will only appear on the UI. So I'm going to put this in a namespace of red+blue.game. Main reason that I do that, is because I'm trying to get better about namespaces, but also it has some advertising value, so I like that. Having your name plastered all over everything is pretty fun. It's actually a town pretty close to where I live that has my name as the town, so it's really cool to just kind of drive through it and see my name plastered everywhere. It's really funny. But yeah, this is going to hold a reference to the item definition. Let me see if I can find the item in the world. Yeah, it's going to have this item definition here, which is just a scriptable object that holds all of the data for the item itself. So we're going to have item definition. I think there's actually going to be like an item sort of data object. In fact, I know there's going to be an item data object, and these are going to have to change to actually have those, or this type is going to have to change to be the item data object, but we'll deal with that a little bit later because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And this is not going to be a sprite renderer anymore. It's going to be a image. It's going to be an image. Yes. So for that, we need UnityEngine.ui, because in the world we use sprite renderers. In the inventory, we use images because they're UI components. The model, don't know how that's going to work out because these do need different scales. So yeah, actually we'll have a public rect transform. This will be the model. So now they'll have different scales. Okay. We will have a, do we need to refresh graphics on this? Yeah, we do. So it's going to be a public void refresh graphics. So what this will do is this will make sure that the item has the correct scale and correct image. So for this, all we need to do is we need to say model dot local scale, I think it is, or is it model dot scale? Say it's local scale is equal to, or actually no, I think local scale is the only one we have, is equal to definition dot scale. Then we will say image dot sprite is equal to definition dot sprite. So this will just make sure that we have the correct item, or so make sure that we have the correct what's it called? Yeah, correct image and then the correct scale. And then we will have a public void, we'll say initialize. Nope. And we want to initialize this and make sure that it has an item definition. Just say definition. And what we'll say is definition, say definition is equal to definition, and then we will say refresh graphics. So the plan for this is that whenever we create the object that follows the cursor, or actually, yeah, when we create the object that follows the cursor, it will be this object. So the way that we will do that, and basically what that'll mean is that the object that follows the cursor will be the same object that sits in the inventory. And so in that case, I believe the current inventory stuff is handled in the inventory component. No, it's handled in input handler. Yes. So instead of this being an image, this is going to be an item in inventory component. This is going to be the item. Right, so that's going to break a couple things. I thought one of them was here, but no, that's a change. Okay. So one of the things that gets broken is this. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to say that's fine. We can actually just keep all the data there, or no, actually what we want to do is we want to say item.definition is equal to null, just free up that reference. And in this case, yeah, item.gameObject.setActive false, that's fine. Okay. And then over here, the item.sprite is equal to that. So what we want to do is we want to say item.definition is equal to item.definition. I'm going to rename this for clarity. This is going to be the item on the ground. Yeah, item on the ground, okay. And so now the item definition that we picked up is equal to the item on the ground. And actually what we can say is we can say item.initialize with that definition. And now it'll set up the scale and everything correctly. And then we set it active, okay. So what this should result in is this should mean that these dice here have different, what is it called? Different, geez, I'm losing it. Different scales, yes, okay. And let me delete this, or actually no, it's fine for me to, well no, actually I want to delete this. What I want is I want to go into prefabs, and I actually want an item in the inventory here. This one can be inactive, and then we can add an item, or actually no. We want to go into this, and we want to add an item in inventory component to this. And I'm going to duplicate this because this has the renderer on it. I want to get rid of the image renderer. And then this is going to be the model. And we're going to remove this and remove, no, actually, not that. Nope, don't remove that. Remove that. There we go. Okay. And so this won't have a definition, but it will have that as the image renderer and that as the model. Okay. So now when we pick those up, they, actually no. We have one more issue. Oh no, prefab is fine, okay. When we pick those up, they will have different scales, or they at least should. So let's see here. This is completely broken. Okay. Something's very broken now. What is it? So item.getComponent rect transform. Why do you not have a rect transform? You should. You do. Why do you not? Oh, did I not put the reference in here? I did not put a reference in there. There we go. That's one issue. Okay, let's see if that's the only one. And I need to move the camera again. So if I grab this, okay, that breaks. I don't know why. What broke there? Item image.sprite is equal to that. Oh, right, because instantiating this doesn't work anymore. Okay. Well, that's fine. We can actually fix that. So that's one issue. Let's go in here. This can actually just be an item in inventory component. Whoops, I need to rename this, not item inventory component, item in inventory component. Okay. So here, this is the prefab, and we can instantiate that. So this will be, let's rename this to be definition. Definition, okay. And we can get rid of this. We can just call this item, actually. Rename this to be item. So this should be a reference to the item in inventory component. Cool. The transform should be that. We can set that to be the parent. Whoops. We need to set our parent to, I think we can just set this to whatever our transform is. Might be wrong though. That's the transform. Parent is our transform. I think we can do that. Then the position is equal to position, yep. And what we want to do is we want to call item.initialize with the definition. That might work. Okay. Let's try that. What I shall do is I shall go into look target here. Going to just move this over here. So the camera should jump over there in a second. Yep. Okay, let's grab this. Okay, there we go. It seems like it's maintaining its scale. Still something's broken. Yeah, okay. Looks like they're maintaining their scale at least. The object you want to instantiate is null. Is it though? I don't think it is. Unity engine, quaternion net rotation. So put item in there in 24. At instantiate the original. So here, item you want to instantiate is null. Is it? It is. Okay. That's fair. Right? Okay. Let's grab that. Put that there. Perfect. Alright, yeah, now they maintain their scale, which is what we want. Okay. But we still can't pick them up. We do have progress. So, got them maintaining their scale. That's good. Might even want to downscale them a little bit, but we'll deal with that later. I wonder if we can do item.transform. I don't think we can. I think there's an issue with doing this, but I just want to try. Might be wrong, but let's find out. Why? No, what I want, say item.transform.position. Is that valid? I think it has something to do with the conversion between rect transform and the normal transform, but I might be wrong. Oh no, okay. I am wrong. Happy to be wrong. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we can just keep this, and this is a little bit cleaner. I like it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is when the item is in the inventory, we need to be able to move it around. So it's a question of when we're going to be able, or how we're going to be able to do that. So in here, when the item's in the inventory, when we click on it, we want to be able to click it and put it back in the world, or put it somewhere else in the inventory. So I believe in the input handler, might be able to do that. So let's see. Holding item.remove, holding item.put back. So you are the item in the world. Ah, okay. So this is the item that we're holding. But this could be either the item in the world or the item in the inventory. So really this really needs to be handled by the inventory component, I think. So what we can do is we can say item in inventory. No, sorry, the inventory component. We can say is the pointer over the inventory. I think this will be true. Actually, I don't know when this is technically true. Let's find something out. Okay. Let me select you. Let me see if I go into debug. So where are you? You're there. So the pointer is now over the inventory. Now it's not. Here's a question. If I put you here, you're not over the inventory. You're technically not over the inventory, even though you also are. Oh, okay. So if I try to grab here, you're not over the inventory, but if you are. If I grab here, you technically are. Okay. Oh, because that's not a raycast target, is it? Oh, that's going to be an issue. Wait, that is a raycast target. Wait, no, it's not. Okay. Ooh, that's going to be an issue, isn't it? So if I make you a raycast target, no, wait. It's not you, it's inventory, it's you. If I make you a raycast target, what happens? Because now, If I click in here, yep. Now, do you go outside the inventory? Even though you're technically, you should be intercepting the raycast, but you're not? Am I crazy? Yeah, you are a raycast target. You should be intercepting that raycast, but you're not. Can multiple things intercept a raycast? Let me try that. So for the item in the inventory, once we initialize this, if we put an item in the inventory, what we want to do is we want to, after we initialize it, we want to actually put it in the inventory, because we want to set the raycast target to true. We want to say public void put in inventory. Then we want to have a public void remove from inventory. Or we can say removed, or yeah, something like that. We can say image dot raycast target is true whenever it's in the inventory. And then whenever it gets removed, it's false, because we don't want it blocking the camera. So whenever we do that, and if we have a, let's say I pointer, right, we need event systems. So what I want to do is I want to see if the, if we can detect when the pointer is over this item. So what we can do is we can say using Unity engine.event systems, not events, event systems. Then I can say an I pointer enter handler. And this will give us a special method that we can call, or that gets called when the pointer enters the item. We can say debug.log pointer entered, or mouse entered. Okay, and so what should happen is the raycast target should be updated. Okay, so if I select you, you're still in debug mode, great. Pointer is over the inventory, now it's not. Okay, if I grab you, put you here, right, and then I go back. Oh, I'm not getting the, oh right, because we're not calling it, right, call things if you want them to actually run. So we can say item dot put in inventory, and that should make the raycast target to true. And so what that should do is that should intercept the calls to the inventory. And I just want to double check how that interacts. So if I grab this, put it in the inventory, the mouse immediately enters, and the mouse is still technically over the inventory. Okay. So we're getting the mouse entered. I don't want to collapse. Okay. So the mouse is entering and the inventory is updating, so both get the call. That's very interesting. Okay. I'm not entirely sure why that works, but if it works, it works. So what we can do is now we can say for the inventory itself, we can create a public item, or not public, a protected item component, item in inventory. We'll say hovering over, or I guess selected item, or hovered item. We basically want to know which item the player is hovering over. And then when the player clicks, what we want to do is if the pointer is over the inventory and the player is hovering over an item, we want to turn that item into a, like, click in like a draggable item, basically. So the way that we do that is really we need this to be a private void, or we need a private void update for this. Then we just check every frame if the player's input, So we'll say if input dot not get key, get mouse button down, player left clicks, and there is a hovered item. And Unity components are implicitly convertible to true or false, whether or not they're null. So if this is null, it'll be false, so this condition will never execute. So if this is not true, then we just want to return because the inventory doesn't do anything. Is that true? No, it isn't. So on click, we do this. Then we can say also have a right. Okay. If we're hovering over an item, what we want to do is we want to say hovered item, or no, wait. We have hovered item and the is pointer over inventory, and we're hovering over an item. Yeah. Well, actually, one implies the other, so never mind. And yeah. So if this is not null, then it implies that we're hovering over the inventory. We'll say we need to create like an item that we're holding. So we need to say a protected item in inventory component, say holding item. Say the holding item is equal to, say holding item is equal to the hovered item. And we will say that say for the hovered item, or we'll say holding item dot removed from inventory, so we'll remove it. And then we want to attach it to the cursor, which I think that's done in the inventory handler. Yeah, unfortunately I think this is in the inventory handler. Yeah, item transform dot position. Really what we can do is we can just have this be handled by the item itself. So we can say the item in inventory. We can say a public bool attach to cursor. Sure. And then in the private void update, what we want to say is if not attached to cursor, then we just return. Otherwise, what we want to do is we want to say our position is equal to input.mousePosition. Say transform.position is equal to input.mousePosition, okay? And that gets rid of this. So in our case, whenever we put something in the inventory, when we remove it from the inventory, we want to attach it to the cursor. Is equal to true. Then when we put it in the inventory, we want to set that to false because it's no longer attached to the cursor. Okay. Then in the input handler, when we pick up the item initially, we want to attach it to the cursor. So we initialize it, say item.attached cursor is true. And then I think in the put back, whenever we do the put back stuff, we want to also say item.attached cursor false. Okay. Or actually, no. Here, we want to attach it. We want to have it not attached to the cursor. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it'll be invisible, but I think that'll still work. And in the inventory component, if we're hovering over something, we say removed from inventory. That should set the attached to cursor true. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to say if input dot get mouse button up of 0 and the is pointer over inventory, and we're holding an item, and we have an item that we're holding. Then what we want to do is we want to put that item down. So say holding item dot put in inventory, which should detach it from the cursor, and then we will say holding item is equal to null. And that might work. Might just be crazy enough to work. I think so. No, what we need to do is we need to say the hovered item. Oh no, well actually that'll just grab the hovered item. Okay, that should actually work. Unless I probably broke something. Probably broke a lot of some things, but let's figure this out. Okay. First things first, let's see. Does this still work? So if I grab this, it attaches to the cursor as I expect. I can put it back down. Great. If I grab you, put you in the inventory, we get that. Okay, right, because we don't actually mark the item as hovered or not. So what I want to do is I actually want to go into here, and I want to have a protected. What we need to do basically is when the item, when we hover over, when the pointer enters the item in inventory component, what we want to do is we want to set the hovered item to that item. And so actually this needs to be a property. Or does it? No, it does. And then this needs to be public. Yeah. And what we'll do is we will have in here, put item in inventory. We'll actually pass in the inventory component so we know which inventory to talk to. So we'll say protected inventory component, inventory. Okay. Then we'll say whenever we put something in the inventory, this inventory is equal to that inventory. I would spell inventory correctly. Okay. And then when the pointer enters this game object, we will say inventory.hovered item is equal to this. And then similarly we can do onPointerExit handler, get another method to override. And then we can say the inventory.hovered item is equal to false, or equal to null, not false, but yeah. I think so. That may not actually work, because if things are stacked on top of each other, it might be kind of weird. Yeah, this may not work, but we'll try it at least. So now, what should happen is this should break for some reason. Oh yeah, put in inventory this. And then I think there's one more place, yeah. Put in inventory, and then we'll say this. Okay. And let's see what happens. Okay. If I grab this, I put it in the inventory. Okay, I can grab it again, and I can move it. Perfect. So yeah, now as you can see, I can move these things around in the inventory. I can't put them in the world, though. And also, if we're not over the inventory when we put them down, nothing happens. What we want to do is we want to do a couple things when that happens. But yeah, now we can grab these. Oh, I need to... Okay, I guess left click. Yeah, okay, I think that's fair. Okay, it's errors because it gets attached. Yeah, okay. All right, so the inventory, what we need to do is on the update in here, what we need is if we get mouse button up and we're holding the item, and we're holding an item, if the item is in the inventory, if is pointer over inventory, then we want to do this stuff. Otherwise, we actually want to try to drop the item. And it's a question of how we're going to do that. Well, actually, no, we always want to drop the item if it's, yeah, we actually always want to drop the item. So drop the item, how? Oh I mean, basically what that is, we need to find the player component. No, sorry, we need to find the player component. We need to figure out where they are, and then we need to get the adjacent spaces and try to put the item, basically try to throw the item on the ground in one of those spaces. But yeah, I need to take a minute to get some water and to think about how that's going to work. But yeah, I like how this is going so far. But yeah, whenever I get back, sorry, I'm going to take a short break, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just to sort of clear my head, and when we get back, we'll work on sort of figuring out how to drop these items on the ground. See you in a bit. All right, and we are back. Okay. So what we were trying to do before I took a break is we're trying to figure out how to drop the item. Whenever the inventory component, or actually let me just show you. It's much easier to show you. Okay. So what we want to happen is if I pick something up, put it in the inventory, what we want to do is, let's say that we release the mouse button outside of the inventory. So let's say we click here, and then we just release the mouse button there. What we want to happen is we want the item to say go on the ground. It will probably just go to a random tile that's adjacent to the player. We could do something where we figure out, like, in the world position where it is, and we try to drop it at the tile at that direction. I'm too lazy to do that. I think we're just going to pick a random position around the player and try to drop it there. So what that will mean is that we need to, when the player releases the mouse on top of, let's say, a tile, what we will do is, or not on top of a tile, but whenever they're outside the inventory. So whenever they're holding an item and they release the mouse outside the inventory, what we want to try to do is we want to find the player, pick a random tile around them, and then try to throw this on the ground. So the way that we do that, we probably want some kind of game manager. It will make it easier because we need to contact both the map and the player. So what we can do is we can say a game manager component. We can use our standard singleton pattern here. I don't like singletons, but they are brutally effective in this case. So I will use them begrudgingly. So what we do for singleton is say public static game manager component, and then we'll call this instance. And then in the private void awake of game manager, what we do is we say if instance, then we want to destroy ourselves. If instance, then we want to do destroy game object, just destroy ourselves, and then we return. Otherwise, what we want to do is we want to say instance. Instance is this, and we could do this in any other order, but this should work. And also, we want to say don't destroy on load ourselves. Don't destroy ourselves on load. This will just protect us from being destroyed when the scene gets unloaded. Okay, and so what this should let us do, now we can have a public, let's say, player component. We'll say that this is the player, and this will just be an expression defined member. Will it? No, what we'll have is we'll have a getter for it. And it'll just have a protected sort of thing in the background, protected backing field. Their component, we'll just say this is the player. We'll say if not player, or no, we'll say if player is equal to null, then the player is actually equal to find object of type player component. We'll just cache the player that way. And then we return the player, whatever that might be. Okay, and then this cannot be set. So in terms of, let's say, the map component, we'll do the same thing. Say map, and we will grab this structure, we will create a backing field, we'll say protected map component map. If not map, then the map is equal to that, and then this will be the map component, okay? And so this will give us a static reference to both the map and the player, and guarantee that this only gets called once because the player and the map don't change at this point. So what we need to do, or what we can do, is we can create an empty. This will be the game manager. And then we just zero out the coordinates for it. We add the game manager component, okay? And I will make this a prefab early on because I did not do that last time and it came back to bite me. lighting really screwed up already? Oh my god, I really need to get some like actual lighting here. Also, it's very saturated. Let's desaturate that a little bit. Alright, that work? Yes, it did. Cool. No, it didn't. Okay, I don't care. I'm gonna have to fix it perfectly. Alright. So what we need to do is in the, let's say, inventory component, what we need to do is we need to get the player, or we need to, yeah, we can say player, or no, actually the player agent is what we need. So we can say game manager component dot instance dot player dot agent. So the agent is the thing that represents the player's location on the map for the Pathfinder, but the agent will have the player's X and Y. And so next we want to find the valid tiles around the player. So the way that we're going to do this is in the map. Oh, we can't access the map. Interesting. Actually, that's not true. We can. Tiles of X, Y. So this I think will be null. Right, okay. So we have an indexer on the map. If you're not aware of it, if you're not aware of what an indexer is, basically for an array, you can use the brackets. And an indexer just says that we can use the brackets on a map component. And we give it an X and a Z, and it'll return this value. So in this case, what we can do is we can say, what we want to do is we want to loop through the 8 positions around the player and pick one at random. Problem is that this indexer doesn't check if we are on the map. So what we can do is we can actually create a public expression-defined member. And actually we can do this even better. We can say public bool and is on map, and then what we'll say is we take an int x and an int z, and then we just return the same thing as map.isOnMap, because the map already does this, of x and z. So yeah, now all we have to do is we say, well, we can generate, well, I want to do this with link, but I don't know that we can easily do this with link. I think we can say, is it enumerable? Enumerable. So I'm trying to generate two, no, it's enumerable. I'm trying to generate two ranges and then combine them. So I think what we need is we need system, I think it's system.collections. I think it's where we get enumerable, is that right? It's always in a weird place. It's not IEnumerable, it's enumerable. Or is it IEnumerable? No, it's enumerable. So it wouldn't be generic, it might just be system where we get it. Is that right? Is it in link? It can't be in link, can it? It is in link. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So we can generate a range from 0 to, let's say, or no, it's not from there. It's from -1 to 1 is where we want to generate, or no. -1, and then the count is 2. So I think that's 3, -1 with a length of 3. It should be -1, 0, and then 1, which is what we want. And then for each of those, we need to map those to a tuple with another range. So we'll say the x value to a tuple, which that should be from, say, using system collections generic, right? System collections generic. Probably super inefficient, but no, is there really no? Actually, wait a minute. Can I just map this to x and then? No, it's an x. I want to map this to another range. Basically, enumerable.range of that. But this would be a flat map. Ah, screw it. I'm not going to worry about it. Just do it the stupid way. For index equals -1. It's so lame. I hate it so much, but you can just do it. X is less than 2, x plus plus. I know I typed a thing here. This is actually the x offset. It's a better way to do this, but not offset, x offset. And this can be renamed to the z offset. Okay. What we say is if x offset is 0 and z offset is 0, then we continue. Because we don't want to process the 0, 0. Is 0. We don't want to process 0, 0. And with implicit conversions, I think it makes sense to put the parentheses. C# can act kind of weird. Then we just continue to the next iteration of the loop. Then we create a list. We'll say var tiles is equal to new list, new list of tile component, sure, because those will have an x, y. Then what we can say is if, or no, we can say, yeah, we can say if tiles, or no, if game manager component.instance.map.isOnMap, and then we'll have the x plus the x offset. So the x is going to be equal to player agent dot x plus the x offset, and then the z is going to be equal to the player agent dot z plus the z offset. So if x and z is on the map, then what we want to do is we want to say tiles.add map game manager component.instance.map of x and z. And this is where the indexer comes in. This is what the indexer lets us do. It lets us use this indexing operator. So there's always guaranteed to be at least one free tile around the player, just because the player has to be able to move. The only case where there wouldn't be is if the player somehow ended up in a position where they're on like an island of a single tile, but I don't think that should ever happen. For any reason, it wouldn't make any sense. They wouldn't have anything they could do. Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll say tiles.add that. And then what we'll do is we will say, we will want to use the tiles x and y. So we'll say var tile is equal to tiles of random.range. We want to pick a random tile. Be 0 from tiles.count. And that is exclusive. So it should never pick the last, or it should never pick something that's off the end of the index. So this is the tile where we want to drop something. Then we will say we want to instantiate some kind of item in the world. So I guess what we'll say is item in inventory prefab. We'll have a public item in world prefab. Item in world, whoops, prefab, yeah. And so we will now have a method for dropping an item. So have public void drop item. Then this will be the item in the inventory. Say item, and then we will say vector3 position. That's where we want to put it. Okay, and so what we will do is we will, or no, actually we'll just give it an x and a y. Say int x and int z actually. So we'll say drop item, and we will drop the item that we are holding. So say holding item, and we will drop it at tile.x. Really, tile doesn't have an x? Am I dumb? Yeah, I'm dumb, okay. So we can do, that's fine. Do public int x is equal to, just give this an expression defined member, we'll say node.x. And say public int z is an expression defined member of node.z. So it'll just basically be a pass-through. Say tile.x and tile.z, okay, and we'll just drop that item. And that's all we have to do, I think. Or no, actually, we just drop whatever item we're holding. No, well, no, we'll drop the holding item, and then we'll just say holding item is null. So actually, we always want to do this. And we want to, yeah, okay. So what we'll say is one of the things we want to do is we want to destroy the item. We want to destroy the item.gameObject. And what we want to do is we want to say var item on ground is equal to, we want to instantiate the item in world prefab. We want to instantiate that at new, or at, actually we'll just create the position here, we'll say position is equal to new of vector 3. It'll be the x plus some random.range minus 0.4 to positive 0.4. And what this will do, actually we will put this here. This will just randomize the position within the tile. And then we'll make this appear at 0, because I think we're just going to keep all the tiles at 0. And if we don't, we could get the map component and we could get its x and y. And this will be on the z-axis. So that just creates a semi-randomized position. We'll spawn it at that position with quaternion.identity. And then we'll say item on ground, and then we'll say dot initialize. I think we can initialize it, or not. How did we set it up? We don't have the initialize, but we have, yeah, we have it on awake. So I guess we'll say if not definition, then we want to return. And we just want to return here. And otherwise we want public void initialize. We want to initialize it with some item definition item. And actually what we can do is we can say, no, actually that's fine. We'll say definition is equal to item, and then we just say refresh. There we go. Okay. Actually, I can just say here I just want to initialize. Say initialize with definition. Okay. And that should be fine. All right. Then in here, in drop item, I want to call initialize with, we don't know what definition, no we do. We use item.definition, that's the definition of the item that we want that to hold. And then we destroy the item, and then we should be good. I think this will work. All right, let's check this out and try this. Okay, so if I grab, whoops, I grab you. Oh, can I not grab you anymore? No, I can't. Okay. Oh. Thing you want to instantiate is null. Where is it null? This is in... oh, right, because I think I dropped it in the world by accident. But in any case... Oh! No, the item in the world and the item in inventory are null. Okay. The item in inventory and then the item in the world, both of those. Okay. So let's go over here. Let us grab you, put you down. Okay. Now, if we go over here, what we should be able to do, should be able to drop this on the ground. No. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Where? 54, drop item, whatever we're holding. What's not set to an instance of an object there? Because all of those... That not work? Alright, let's check out the debug here. Okay, so we're watching the hovered, or not the hovered, but the holding. Oh, so we're technically not holding anything. Okay. Now we have the hovered item, nothing, okay. That's the hovered item. So if I grab this, this should turn into the item that we're holding, yes. Okay. Oh, there we go, that worked. That's interesting how that chooses to behave. Oh, right, because it's being spawned at quaternion.identity. But why is the look component not working? Do those have the look component, but this one doesn't? No. Those, but they don't have a look target, that's what it is. Yeah, they don't have a look target. Alright, so there's a couple ways to deal with that. I think the easiest is just the item in the world component. I think we're just going to add a reference to the look target component, or look at target component. I think that's from a different namespace, actually. I think it's using red+blue.common. No, it's in game.common. Is that where it is? I think so. Yeah, and then this is the look at target. Or yeah, that. Hang on, what is it? Is it look? Oh, just look at component. Look at. Yeah, just look at. Alright, and so in look at, we're just going to say look at dot target is equal to camera dot main dot game object, or no, dot transform. So we just look at the camera, and that's probably fine. So if it works over, reference not set to an instance, oh right, yeah, because they're not set in here. Look at component is in here, perfect. Okay. Yeah, now they look at the camera, awesome. If I grab one, put it in the inventory, then we, let's say, grab this, we can throw it on the ground, awesome. We should be able to pick it up again, actually, yeah, alright. And yeah, we can pick it up and we can put it back. Alright, oh, something broke. Okay, I think we clicked outside, no? Okay. Something's definitely not working there. Alright. Yeah, something's broken. Alright, what is it? It says that the object reference is not set to an instance of an object. That's so weird that we're getting the error on this line, because this is a method call, so I don't see how we could be getting the error on this line. Oh, unless the tile, but no, the tile should exist. I can't think of why that wouldn't work. Oh, actually, yes, I could. Because it's not the is on map. It is on map, and it also needs to be passable of that. Okay, I think that's the issue. Because I think what was happening is there's technically, in these blank spaces, there's technically a node on the map, like it's technically on the map, but it's not, there's no tile for it. That's what was happening. Okay. So now it should only look at the tiles. Nope. Okay. Apparently that's not helping. Okay. Okay, no, seriously, why is that? If it is on map and, oh, I guess we need to grab the, we need to grab the tile and it needs to be, all right. This is bothering me. All right, so if this is on the map and that and x and z is not equal to null, oh, whoops, it's not equal to null and that's passable, that should work. And these are implicitly convertible to nulls. Actually, we can just do this. Yeah, actually, this is not correct. Oh yeah, not correct because of that. Okay, there we go. Now we shouldn't get null references. It's weird that it was always getting, oh well, actually I guess it would always get a null reference. It's always guaranteed to happen. Okay, so we can grab that. Then now we can throw you on the ground? Yeah, okay. We can grab that, whoops. Interesting. Oh yeah, because you're always going to go there. Okay. It's non-deterministic, that's great. Okay, I think that's working. And yeah, we can just move it around on the inventory. Can throw you on the ground. Can pick this up, it actually goes back, perfect. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And yeah, we could, of course, try to figure out where the player is pointing based on where the cursor is, but then you have the question of, you know, if I try to drop the thing here, what do we do? And I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, and we drop things on the ground at random. It's kind of cool. All right. I like that. Oh yeah, I think this was, yeah, that. Okay, that's fine. That just happens if we click outside the range, I think. Or something. I don't know where that happens, actually. It happens somewhere. Yeah, it happens if we click outside. I think it happens if we click on a tile outside the range, but not when we click on empty space. Yeah, if we click on a tile outside the range, it breaks. That's fine. So yeah, can pick these up. And now we need to do basically the reverse whenever we pick something up, is we need to make sure that the player is actually near it. So to do that, actually I think that's really easy. I think in, what is it? It's not in the game manager, it's probably in the input handler. What we need to do is when we are about to pick up an item, here. So if the item is on the ground and we are adjacent to it, so the way that we can find that out, I think we can say, I think we have a reference to the player, right? Do we? Because what we need is we need a reference to the player and we need a reference to where the tile is, which we have. So we do have the player, which we could just reference to the game manager, which might actually be worth doing. What we could do is we can say the item on the ground and, is there a quick expression that determines adjacency? I think so. Oh, okay, if the item's on the ground, if the tile.x, or no, sorry, if the absolute value of the tile.x minus, yeah, minus the player dot x is greater than 0, or greater than, or less than 1, or less than or equal to 1, which means that we're either in the space or we are, we're either in the space or we're adjacent to it on the x-axis. Then we say, and this is true for the y-axis. Dot agent. So this is true for the x-axis, and it's true for the y-axis, or the z-axis rather. Then we can do all this stuff. Otherwise, we just do nothing, because clicking on an item when it's not adjacent to the player doesn't do anything. Okay. Now that should only allow us to pick up things that are adjacent. Okay, so if I go over here, if I try to pick this up, something breaks. Oh yeah, that breaks. But that's fine. This is in object reference not set to an instance of an object. What? In tile.x. Oh, because there is no tile. That's fine because we can determine the item. We can say the var item x is equal to, or say var x is equal to mathf.round. And it's item on ground dot position, or dot transform dot position dot x. That's the x. And then the var y, or z, I guess, is equal to the same thing, but it's the z-axis, okay? And so rather than the tile, this is just the x, and then this is the z, okay? And I don't think it matters what order these two are done in. I might be wrong, though, but I don't think it matters. Okay. Then in this case, now clicking on this item doesn't do anything. Okay. And now if we move, let's say adjacent to that. Now from here we still shouldn't be able to pick it up, which we can't. But now we can, because we're at least adjacent to it. Yeah. Now if we're adjacent to it on any face, cool. We can throw this stuff on the ground. And we should be able to pick all of it up again, yes. Okay. Yeah. There is still the issue of it not detecting that it's not over a tile, but that's probably fine. We can fix that later. Yeah, now the inventory system works. Happy with that. So yeah, we can't pick you up. Yeah, can't pick you up because you're not adjacent. But we can pick you up, okay. And yeah, no matter where we try to move it, if it's not in the inventory, then it doesn't do anything. Okay. I like that. And then we can just rearrange these things. So let's say we wanted all of our dice over here. Just want to keep those to the left. All right. Now we throw them on the ground because we don't want them anymore. Sure. I like that. Yeah, just Ultima style inventory. Okay. So now I kind of want to do some tooltip sort of stuff. So there's a couple different kind of tooltips that need to exist. One of them is whenever you hover over like agents in the world, there are certain tooltips, but also for items. So if I hover over this item, I would want it to tell me what it is. Same is true of the agent. If I hover over the agent, I'd want to know a little bit about it. Unless it's the player, there's not really anything to know about that. But the same is also true of the item. So if you hover over an item in the inventory, I'd want to know what that is and what it does. So I think that's two different types of tooltips. I think the first one is just for stuff on the inventory, and the second one is like a 3D kind of tooltip for stuff in the world. So I'm trying to think of how we can do that. But also, these need to have agents on them. Why did I remove the agent component? I don't remember. We'll make this normal. We'll give all of you agents. And now we shouldn't be able to move into their space. I think that's true. Because, yeah, you're... Oh, no, I think... No, we can still move. Why can we still... Oh, yeah, we can. Because you're not children of the map. Now that you're children of the map, we should not be able to move into your space. Because you're technically agents. Yeah, there we go. Now you won't move through it. And you can see that they won't move through it now. Alright, that's what I wanted. Because I do want these to have some kind of physical presence. Right. Happy with that. And let me just make sure that doesn't affect anything. Ooh, actually, I think we can't drop stuff in tiles that have other agents, which is the behavior that I would want. But let me just double check. Whoops. That's not the behavior that I want. So if I stand here, interesting that that had trouble with... Why does that have trouble with that? Oh, that's weird. Okay. I don't know why it has trouble with that tile. Huh. That's very strange. I guess it has trouble with some tiles. Weird. But if I stand here and then I throw things out, they do land on his tile. I'm not sure why that is. Because that shouldn't be passable. That should not be passable. Why does that land there? Am I crazy? Because when we drop stuff, I don't care. Because when we drop stuff, we specifically check this is passable. Huh. That's very weird. No, that's just very weird. Okay. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but like, that's just real weird. That shouldn't happen. Because yeah, you can get things like that where it just disappears. No, really, why does that happen? That should not be happening. Okay. Let's check this out. You register as passable. Why do you register as passable? Because you're not. Interesting. Am I crazy? Has agent. Oh. Passable. Node.passable is equal to node.doesn't have agent and passable. So. Huh. I'm very confused. Because. Yeah, I'm quite confused. This is find path. This is recompute passable tiles. But as agent, this is when the agent gets recomputed. But this should recompute the passable stuff. Okay, so if I look at this, you have an agent, but you're still considered passable. Why? Why does pathfinding ignore you? Unless it's not checking passable, it's checking has agent? What are the references? It's never referenced. The has agent is equal to true, but assigning the has agent, I don't understand why it behaves correctly in pathfinding, but it doesn't behave correctly here. I think I do actually. Yes, I do. Okay. Because that's not right, because it behaves in pathfinding because it's the node.passable. So we're not looking for the tile, we're looking for the actual node.passable. Okay. That's what that was the issue. So actually, it's not whether the tile is passable, it's whether the tile's node is passable. There we go. And that just basically means whether or not we can move into it, which for all intents and purposes, those two are the same. The node's passability is actually more restrictive than the tiles. The tile just indicates whether or not that tile type is passable. So in the case of like a wall, that tile type is not passable, so it doesn't matter if there's an agent or not inside the wall, it's never passable. So now here, these should never end up in that agent's tile. There's like a 1 in 3 chance that they should. So yeah, they'll never end up in that agent's tile. Okay, that's good. Because when there's an agent, basically when an item ends up in an agent's tile, there's a strong chance that you won't be able to pick it up because it will appear behind, or it could appear behind the agent, and you don't want that to happen. So yeah, I think it's impossible actually. And let's just double confirm that. If we stand here, what should happen is they should all appear in that space because they can't appear anywhere else. And of course we click here, which is not what we want. Okay, whoops, damn it. Why is it doing that? It shouldn't do that when the mouse is over inventory. Huh, okay. When the mouse is over the inventory, we need to deactivate pathfinding. But yeah, if I just drop this here, yeah, it can't do anything else. Okay, perfect. Okay, so when the mouse enters the inventory, what we need to do is we just need to deactivate pathfinding altogether. So what we can do is in the handle click, we can say if inventory. Oh, we don't have a reference to the inventory. That's fine. We can get one. We can say protected inventory component inventory. In the handle click, we don't want to handle any kind of clicking if, let's see here. We can say if inventory.is pointer over inventory, and so if the pointer's not over the inventory. So in this case, we'll always, whenever the pointer goes over the inventory, we'll just end up with the clear path, or just do the clear path code, which is what we want. Or everything just explodes. Oh, right, because we don't have the reference because we didn't assign it. Just say inventory is equal to find object of type inventory component, which we should be able to do because it's not deactivated when we start. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now, whenever we are here and then we hover over the inventory, it should immediately cancel. the pathfinding. Yeah, there we go. Which it does. There we go. Now we shouldn't have those issues anymore. Oh, whoop. So yeah, if we're here, we should be able to just grab these. And then if we go back all the way over here, then we start tossing things out of the inventory. Yeah. So yeah, okay, perfect. So now we deal with the world space kind of tooltips. So the idea is going to be that whenever we hover over some kind of agent, we want to get a tooltip. And if we hover over an agent or we hover over an item, we want to get some kind of tooltip. So I kind of want this to be dynamic, I guess. So we need a world space canvas for this. And then what we will need is that canvas. Will it be the canvas itself? Or, oh, actually, how are we going to do that? Because I don't think you can you have a canvas scale to fit its own content? I don't know that a canvas can do that. I know that certain elements can. But I'm not sure that a canvas can. Let's try this. Let's see if we get, like, let's say a canvas, and then we say a world space canvas, right? Unspecified event camera, may not register UI events correctly. We don't actually care about that. So this will be, I guess, the tool tip, or maybe it's like more info or something. And we'll just call this the, I don't know, I guess object information, or object details or something. Super generic. All right. And so you, I guess your width can be like, I don't know, 1 by 1 for now, and then we'll just set this to that, to 0, 0. Okay, we have this tiny little canvas here. So the question is, can you have a content size fitter? Have you be minimum size, minimum size? Now if I add a, I don't know, a panel, and have its size be, let's say, 1 and 1, it does look like you get rescaled correctly. It does not look like you render correctly, though. That's interesting. Yeah, you don't render correctly, but you do get scaled correctly. So that's progress. Whoops. Well, actually, let's see. Might just be an editor rendering thing. No, it is not. You just don't render correctly. Sorting layer. Okay. Top, I guess? Or no, I guess we'll say details. No, I guess, yeah, object details. It'll be on that sorting layer. So you'll always appear above everything. Okay. So that's good. And now, how are we going to do this? Sure, I guess reference pixels per unit is 100. That's fine. I don't think we need a graphic raycaster. So yeah, we just need you to have minimum horizontal, minimum vertical fit. And the canvas scaler, that's fine. And you're controlled by the size of your children. Okay, and then let's set the scale to like 0.1. That way we can set this to have a width of 10 and a height of 10. Yeah, that way it scales incorrectly. Let's say 0.01 and 0.01, so it's scale of 1 to 100. So say 100 by 200. Yeah, or yeah, 100 by maybe 100, maybe 300. How big is that actually? That's fairly sizable. Okay. And let's say by a height of, I don't know, 200. Set the background to nothing and make it dark. Yeah, we'll have something like that. And yeah, this will just appear that, okay. This will be what we want. I guess we want a vertical layout group in here. Yeah, want that. Alright. Minimum size, I guess we can set the spacing to like 3. So the idea that I have is that I want different like parts, or I want the tooltip to be dynamic where it can have different sections to it. So each of these will probably be sections. Then we can add here a image. Yeah. And that's interesting how that chooses to behave. I don't like that. Okay, let's say we have a content size fitter, and then let's say we have a panel here. Let's say you have a, I don't know why you have, wait a minute, was I missing something? I look for an image here. Oh, there is an image here, okay. And let's say this is the vertical layout group, okay. We'll just say that you are kind of dark, add that. Okay, and these, well actually, no, should be kind of gray, right? And these are slightly darker. Don't see the difference though. Oh, because they cover the panel, that's why. Is there padding on vertical layout group? I don't think so. There can't be padding on you. So to make padding, we'd have to duplicate you, and then you wouldn't have the image. You would just be the size of your parent. Have an internal of like 10, 10, 10, and 10. Yeah, that would give us like internal padding. Okay, we'll call this a section. It's too much padding, but I just wanted to illustrate the concept. 3 and 3, okay. That's probably fine, there we go. And this is like background. Then we can duplicate that. Yeah, we get a second section there, cool. All right, so inside this section, we're going to have a, I guess a, not a button, but a, oh god, well, I'm trying to think now. No, it's just text. Yes, text, okay. That is going to, we're going to have one that's anchored to the top. So the X position can be 0, but it actually anchors here. No, it'll just run along the top. And it'll have an X position of, I don't know, 5 because we want an indent. Y position, that's going to be at the top. So it'll be internally 0 at -5? Yeah, okay, at -5. And Z position's irrelevant. That's going to have a right value of 5, although it's technically not relevant. This is going to be 30. Text size can be like 20 or something. This will be like the section header. I mean, even it could probably be smaller than this. Yeah, okay. It'll just be bold, and we'll say that it's got a height of, I don't know, 20. That's probably fine. No, it's not going to be there. It's going to be like there. Okay. And yeah, that's still legible. So that'll be whatever the header is, or the title. And then we will have the content. So the size of this actually needs to have a content size fitter. And the vertical fit needs to be minimum. And unfortunately, yeah, I don't know why these behave this way. I've never understood it. Okay, so you technically have a content, you need to basically adjust your content size. Yeah, I've never understood how the Unity content size stuff works. It's like, does this need a content size fitter? And then have it be minimum vertical fit? That didn't seem to do it. So give this content size. That'd be the minimum vertical fit? No, that just makes it worse. Okay. God, why does this never work? Like this thing just does not ever seem to work right. And I don't know why. You have a 0 height. Why do you have a 0 height? So let's say 20, right? Okay. And what about you? I don't know why the text doesn't adjust. So you have a height of 20. Why are you not... Why is your height minus 200? Why is it not... Alright, so let's say a content size fitter here. Let's say minimum size for that section, but then we remove you. Okay, so you have no height, but you don't either. So really, I don't know why. Like the Unity content size fitter stuff just never seemed to work, and I really don't get why. All right. Parent types layout, child layout group do not have. A child of a layout group should not have content size fitter, should be driven by the layout group. But that can't be true because, actually, wait a minute. So if I remove this, then let's say I remove, so I don't have any here. Okay, let's say I remove you, because we don't know what your height's going to be. But you, we actually do know that you're going to be a vertical layout group. Okay. We don't want wrapping. We want to disable that. No, actually we do want you to wrap. Yeah. Then the width should be whatever the parent width is. Which in this case, actually no, you should have that be your width. No, wait. That should work. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. So, force child expand only the width. Okay, actually we can set padding. I'm an idiot. Alright. But vertical layout group, I don't understand why you have no height. Also, the width shouldn't be negative. Yeah, I really don't understand the Unity content size fitter stuff. It just does not seem to work at all. Actually, that's not true. These can be unconstrained. So these can be completely unconstrained. That's fine. So where did we go wrong? So you are fine. And you just don't have any height. That's because your height is determined by your content. Okay. And you can't have that. Can't be that way. Okay, so the width is 300. And that should be true because the width here is 300. Okay. And the child, but why is the child not being forced to expand the width? It just doesn't make any sense. The height doesn't need to be like that. It works so well until you get, until you want to do anything, complicated with it. Then it just doesn't. There's not any good information as to why it doesn't work. Okay. So let's just... Alright, okay. Let me just duplicate this. I don't want to delete it because I don't want to reset the size of the content stuff. Okay. So let's just delete this. Okay. So what are we doing? Okay. We have this canvas. It is the minimum size of its vertical content. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. So if I set the height to 30 of this, okay, that's for each section. Section has it's forcing the child to expand the width, although it's actually not, because if we set this as 10, then the child is not being forced to expand. I don't know why, but apparently it is. Oh, control child size has to be that. Okay. There we go. Now your child size there is controlled. Perfect. Okay, so that's one issue. The next one is, let's check out padding. So if I add an image here, okay, and then I set the padding to be, I don't know, 5, 5, and 5. Yeah, okay. So that controls child padding correctly. Okay. And then we'll say the spacing is, I guess, 3. So if I create another section, yeah, it's spacing 3. Perfect. Okay. Now, what I want to do is, all right, let's say if we created a, let's say Text Mesh Pro something in here. What if we added it in here? What do we get? Your height is not determined correctly. Yeah, your height is not determined correctly. You just have a height of 0. So does that mean that I need to put a content size fitter on you? And then your vertical fit is the minimum size? No, that doesn't work because your height's not determined correctly. Okay. This is where I stop understanding this. This is a content, because there's like a content element, a layout element, right? So this is the min height. Oh, we can set a minimum height. We can set a flexible height. But is there no way to have your minimum height be determined by the text that is in you? That is a thing that you can do, and I know that it is. So Unity text element resize automatically. Okay. This content on the text component only works for elements inside another element, but the text needs to resize based on its text, not its children. Setting the preferred width and setting the text width to the value of that at runtime. It's the height, preferred height, now. Okay. Okay, make a layout group fit their respective sizes. Horizontal or vertical UI elements in their content, but what do you do? On each child. Okay, however, that isn't necessary. The layout group can already make each child fit the size of their content. Disable the force child expand toggles. If the children are themselves layout groups too, they need to disable that. Once the children no longer expand, their alignment can be specified. Once the children no longer expand with flexible width, if you want to fill with available space, but not the other children, can't put a content size fitter for this reason. Does not wants control over its own rect transform, but the parent layout group wants control over it. This creates a conflict. The parent layout group can already make each child fit the size of their content. So, but it doesn't do that. It actually doesn't do that. The text, okay, but that doesn't work for text. Okay, fit size of UI element with child text. If you have a UI element such as a button, probably want the whole UI element to fit, maybe with some padding in order. Add a horizontal layout group or a vertical. Really? That's how you do it? But that doesn't work. Okay. So if I create a parent, then I say that you have a vertical layout group, then we control the child height. Okay. But you're being controlled now. Your height is 0. But it's not. Middle center? Yeah, that's not doing anything. Okay, let's try this in isolation, I guess. Let's delete this. Let's remove you. Okay. So now nothing. We have the content size fitter. Okay. So now, let's see here. So we have this. Okay. So you have the image. Okay. And this has a non-zero height, let's say, I don't know, 500, or no, let's say 100, right? Okay. This has a 0 height, but that's fine. So the width can be there, this can be 0, or, okay, I guess it can't. It has no height whatsoever, okay. Then, okay. So this is for text. Okay, in order to make the text component fit on it, you need a content size fitter. Oh wait, fit with child text. Okay. So make a rect transform for the text component, fit the text content size component as the text component, set horizontal fit and vertical fit to preferred. Okay. So on the same object, we set a content size fitter with preferred and preferred. Okay, so that does work. Okay. Does that work? Okay, so that does work. The problem is that you cannot use a content size fitter because the parent will not allow it. Or it will allow it, but hold on. Okay, so this works. Now, does that mean that if I, let's say, remove this, and then I set a content size fitter here to the preferred size, what will that do? That will set the alignment there. It will say upper left was the alignment, but that doesn't seem to matter. Okay. It's the child's preferred size, but I actually don't want to control the, no, I do want to control the width, and I want to force you to expand the width, but I don't want to control the size of the height. And actually the vertical can be the min size, or no, horizontal can be the min size. We can force you to expand. That, of course, still doesn't work because that would be too convenient. Upper left, okay. So we control the width. Horizontal fit should be the minimum size. So the minimum, or actually it should be unconstrained. So forcing you to expand should cause, okay. Why is it not forcing it to expand? Is the width on this 0? The width on that is 0, okay. So does that provide the behavior that we want? That's closer, okay. So this, okay, so I guess it propagates to the children. Okay. I guess that makes some kind of sense. So now, if I said I give you a vertical layout group, and then I just say 3, 3, and 3 as the padding. Okay. And now this is the content. So if I call this a section, okay, then I add, let's say, an image here, and this will, I guess, be done like that. No? Let's say we control the child's width. Force the child to expand the width. Okay. Now, we can say this is a little bit darker than the background. Okay. Maybe a little bit lighter. Okay. And then you are super dark. Okay, now does that actually work? It might actually work now. But we don't have... The problem here is that we don't have a content size fitter for you. So if I set this to 0, actually it doesn't matter what your size is, does it? Well, actually, no, it does. Because, yeah, it does matter. Vertical fit's going to be the problem is the vertical fit is the preferred size. Oh, actually, wait, that might work. So if we remove you and we remove you and we just put the content size fitter here, then that can be unconstrained and that can be the preferred size. And we can set the padding to 3. And does that propagate all the way down? Of course it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All right. So we don't want to control the child's height. Is that what it is? We just want to let the child, each child control its own height? Nope, that's not how that works at all. And so you... Yeah, it basically doesn't propagate down. So if we control the child's height, then we have you control the child's height. Okay, maybe that works. Yeah, okay. God, this stuff is really confusing, but okay, maybe it does actually work. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so this is the section header. And then this is, I don't know, some details about whatever this section is. Section is ... Okay. And this is the header, and this is the content. Okay, so it looks like it propagates down. Looks like it propagates down to whatever its children are. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's not awful. And so the idea is that you'll have some kind of, you know, like item section, and then some kind of like agent section, you know, like agent, then, you know, details about the agent, And then maybe some other things like items, and if the item's enchanted, there'll be like a special section for that. Okay. But it is exactly 1, so it is a good time to end this. I will either work on this a little bit off camera, or we'll work on this next time. And yeah, just getting ready for the 7-day RL challenge. It's good to have this stuff nailed down ahead of time, because there's no point in working on it then. Working on UI systems during the challenge just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I will be back here at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Central, for some GeneForge mutagen. So yeah. I don't know what that is that you put in the chat, but yeah, if I find out that that's, yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway, I will see you guys at 2 p.m. Thank you for watching.